Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to say thanks so much for stopping by. And if at any time you want to see something special, please click the feedback button or send me an email at editor@creativeknittingmagazine.com. Okay, maybe you've heard the phrase, when it comes to work worth doing, the greater the risk, the greater reward. I think the same holds true with our knitting. With each new issue of Creative Knitting Magazine, I ask you to get out of your comfort zone just a little in order to explore new things, because taking a new risk will push you to new levels and give you the confidence you need to continue progressing forward. So today, let's dip our toes into some new waters. I think you'll really love what's coming up next, so keep watching and let's get started. Okay, let's take a look at these 3 bath time for baby washcloth patterns featured in the spring 2014 issue of Creative Knitting Magazine. Okay, I'll jump right into our first washcloth, which is an example of mosaic color work. Now, what I love about this way of working is that it almost looks like you're working 2 colors across the same row, but in fact you're only working 1 color at a time, and you're slipping the non-working yarn, which you can see with these blue stitches across the row. Those are slipped, and so if you take a look at the back of the swatch, you can see these slipped stitches. Okay, so then our next swatch here, now these 2 right here are actually working with a cable needle, and the first example shows stitches that slant to the left. Actually, it's 1 stitch that slants to the left. And I'll show you my cable needles. I have several here that I like to keep on hand. We have plastic, metal, and wood versions. My favorite is actually this metal cable needle, which I've had for years, and it is good for beginners because it really allows the stitches to hook on to the cable needle so they don't fall off. So this is a left leaning or a left crossing cable, and the next washcloth is a right leaning or right crossing cable, and I will show you with my little wooden cable needle. You can see here how the stitches actually lean to the right. And you can just follow that with your eye. And if you're ever unsure, all you have to do is look at your work, because you can tell which way they lean. Okay, let's get started learning about these patterns. These finished washcloths are made with peaches and cream, 100% cotton, but you can experiment and make them in a variety of different yarns. For this demonstration, I'll be working with Cotton Classic, a 100% machine washable mercerized cotton from Taki Stacy Charles. For even more washcloths and almost a dozen new stitch patterns, visit anniescatalog.com and grab your copy of Baby Washcloths and Afghan Squares with projects made exclusively with Cotton Classic. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to show you first the Mosaic Colorwork washcloth. What we're going to do is start with row 1, which is the very first pattern row, and this is our right side. So as you can see, I actually worked a few rows already with Cotton Classic, which is from Taki Stacy Charles. And now I'm going to pick up my, well, I've already picked up my contrast color, which in this case is the green yarn, which is already in my hand. We're going to knit 3, then slip 1 purlwise with yarn and back, and then knit 1. And we're going to repeat from star across. And if you look at the chart, you can see that we're doing the same exact thing across the entire row. So let's start, knit 3, oops, and now I'm slipping 1 purlwise. So with the yarn and back, slipping 1 purlwise and knitting 3. Slip 1 purlwise. And we'll slip 1 purlwise one more time, and we'll knit 3. And this gives you a really good idea. And so we'll just take a quick look, because you can see how the blue yarn, the main color, just kind of peeks up on that row. So it it appears as if you are working 2 colors, but you really don't have to manage any more than 1 color per row. And the slip stitches just make it look like, you know, just a rich looking piece of color work. All right, let's get started working a right crossing cable. So this is going to give you a little bit of grounding for working with a cable needle. So let's take a look at the stitch chart for this. As you can see, it is a 7 stitch repeat and it is for 4 rows. So here on this chart are the symbols for the 1x1 right cross. And so you can follow that along here, or you can take a look at the written pattern if that makes you feel more comfortable. I'm going to show you that at one of the actual pattern rows so you can see how the right cross works. Okay, so here's my demo swatch, and I'm going to start working across row 3. So if you want to follow the chart, so we can start here. The first 3 stitches we're going to just knit, and then purl. So take a look at the chart. So that's a purl. And then we're going to work the 1x1 right cross. So I'm going to show you how that's done. I'm going to grab my trusty little cable needle. Now we're going to slip 1 stitch, and we're going to place it on the hook and then let it just dangle at the back of the swatch. Then we're going to knit 1 stitch, then knit from the cable needle. Now what I do is I put it back on my needle. Some people do like to knit directly from the cable needle, but I prefer to put it back on my left needle and work it that way. Okay, so we just worked a right cross. So now let's purl a stitch, as we can see on our pattern. So we're purling. Now we're going to knit 3. And then we're just simply going to work from star, so all the way to the end. So we're going to purl. And again, we're going to work that 1x1 right cross. So I'm going to pick up my cable needle, slip that next stitch onto the cable needle, and then remove it from the left-hand needle, let it hang the back of the work, so you can see that here. I'm going to knit 1 stitch from the left-hand needle, then I place the stitch that's on the cable needle back on my left-hand needle, knit that stitch, and we just worked another right cross. Now if you take a look, you can see the stitch right there. See how it's leaning to the right? And that's how to work a right crossing cable. So for more patterns like this, visit creativeknittingmagazine.com and click on the current issue tab to see more of these baby washcloth patterns. I think you'll really love them. I hope this short tutorial has encouraged you to keep soaring in your knitting skills. I urge you to take a look at the spring 2014 issue of Creative Knitting Magazine to check out the variety of projects from embellishments to pint-sized sweaters that will help you quickly move to that next level. To learn more about the latest issue, visit creativeknittingmagazine.com and click on the Current Issue tab. You can also visit creativeknittingmagazine.com/blog, where you can watch my tutorials and gather invaluable tips, tricks, and knitting advice. If you'd like to suggest a future topic, please send your inquiries to editor@creativeknittingmagazine.com. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.